All right, everyone, get ready,
Yeah.
because today we're diving headfirst into the world of South African teacher salaries. We've gotten a ton of questions from you all about what educators in South Africa actually make. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good salary deep dive, right? Especially if you're thinking about possibly making a move. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break it down. What can a brand new teacher, fresh out of university, expect to earn in South Africa? I mean, we're talking someone with that new teacher smell still clinging to their clothes, right?
Well, for those just starting out, salaries usually fall somewhere between our 185,000 and our 280,000 per year.
Okay, so not exactly CEO money, but not a bad starting point at all. Now, let's say you've been at it for a while, you've got a few years of experience under your belt, you've probably got some epic classroom stories for parties, am I right? Well, what can a mid-level teacher expect to earn?
For teachers with a few years of experience, those salaries bump up to between our 300,000 and our 420,000 annually.
Okay, now we're talking. That's a pretty comfortable living. Now, for the veterans, the ones who can silence a room with a single look, the teachers who've seen it all and lived to tell the tale, what's the earning potential at the top of the scale?
Those seasoned educators can earn anywhere from our 450,000 to our 620,000 per year.
Wow. Now, those are some impressive salaries, but I'm guessing it's not quite as simple as, like, years on the job, right? What are some of the factors that influence a teacher's earning potential in South Africa?
You're absolutely right. It's not just about how long you've been teaching. Location plays a huge role. Teaching in a big city like Johannesburg or Cape Town, you're likely to earn a higher salary compared to more rural areas.
Right, just like any job market, it's about supply and demand, right?
Exactly. And then, of course, you have the public versus private school divide. Private schools often have the resources to offer more competitive salaries than public schools.
That makes sense. So it's a mix of experience, location, and school type. But hold on, you mentioned something earlier about qualifications. Does it really make a difference if you have a bachelor's degree versus, say, a diploma in education?
It definitely can. In South Africa, a Bachelor of Education, or a BE, is usually considered the gold standard.
Hmm.
It often translates to a higher starting salary compared to entering the profession with a diploma.
So for those teachers starting their careers, investing in that B-aid could really pay off in the long run. Now, what about those who want to keep climbing the education ladder? Does a master's degree in education, an M-aid, open any doors?
Absolutely. The MEd can lead to higher pay grades and even more specialized teaching roles.
Okay, so let me throw a curveball at you. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, someone walks in with a PhD in, I don't know, the history of finger painting.
hmm
Would they be topping the teacher pay scale with that kind of qualification?
Well, a PhD in education isn't mandatory for teaching in South Africa, but it definitely holds weight. It can give you a real edge, especially if you're aiming for specialized roles within the Department of Education itself. Those roles often come with higher salaries.
Fascinating. So it's clear that professional development and further education are important factors in boosting your earning potential. But as we all know, a truly rewarding career isn't just about the money, right? There's a whole world of benefits to explore.
Absolutely. And
Oh,
South Africa is known for offering a pretty great benefits package to its educators.
okay. Spill the tea. What kind of perks are we talking about here?
Well, for one, public school teachers contribute to the government employees' pension fund.
Which is?
The GEPF, as it's known, is a pension fund that ensures a comfortable retirement for educators.
That's amazing. Knowing you've got your future secured is priceless. What other benefits are on the table?
Many public school teachers also have access to really good medical aid plans.
Medical aid, you mean health insurance?
Yes, exactly. And these plans often cover not just the teacher, but their families too.
That's a huge benefit. Good healthcare is essential. But let's be real for a second. Everyone loves a good vacation. And teachers, well, let's just say they've got that perk down to a science.
That's for sure.
No 2 weeks of paid vacation here. We're talking generous holiday leave that lines up perfectly with those school breaks. Now, that's what I call work-life balance.
It's definitely a major perk of the profession.
Yeah.
It allows for a lot of rest and rejuvenation, which, let's face it, is crucial for any teacher's well-being.
You can't pour from an empty cup, right? But beyond the time off, what about opportunities for teachers to, keep growing professionally? I'm guessing staying current in the field of education is pretty important.
It really is. Staying current is crucial in any field, but especially education.
So, are there any specific programs or opportunities available for South African teachers to, level up their skills?
Absolutely. The South African government is seriously committed to professional development for its teachers. There's a ton of programs and opportunities for educators to, you know, enhance their skills, get new qualifications, that sort of thing.
That's impressive. It sounds like a career where you can always keep learning, keep evolving. Now, let's circle back to a benefit we touched on earlier, that Government Employees Pension Fund, or GEPF. Can you break down for us exactly how that works?
Sure thing. The GEPF is what's called a defined benefit pension fund. This basically means the amount a teacher gets when they retire is determined by a formula. This formula takes into account their years of service and their final salary.
So it's like a guaranteed safety net for their retirement.
Precisely. It's a huge weight off their shoulders knowing they'll be financially secure later on.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a career path where you're not just shaping young minds, you're also investing in your own future. Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about career progression. We've talked about starting salaries and great benefits, but what about those who, want to climb the ladder, take on leadership roles?
Right, because the teaching career doesn't have to be linear.
Exactly. So, what are some potential paths for those ambitious educators?
Well, one common route is to become a head of department, or HOD as it's known.
HOD, that has a nice ring to it. What does an HOD actually do?
Think of them like the captain of their subject area. They're responsible for overseeing the curriculum, mentoring other teachers in their department, basically making sure everything runs smoothly in their little corner of the school.
It sounds like a challenging but rewarding role, for sure. A natural step for experienced teachers who are ready to make a bigger impact.
Absolutely. And of course, more responsibility often translates to a higher salary.
Makes sense. So you've moved up the ranks, you're an HOD. What's next? Is becoming a principal a realistic goal?
Definitely. It's a goal for many educators, and it's achievable with hard work and dedication. Of course, the process of becoming a principal, or even a deputy principal, is pretty demanding.
What does that process usually involve?
Well, it often requires additional education, leadership training, and obviously a proven track record of success in previous roles.
So it's not just about putting in the years, it's about actively pursuing growth and development.
Exactly. But here's something interesting. There are opportunities beyond the classroom, too, within the Department of Education itself.
Now that you mention it, that's something I've always been curious about. What goes on behind the scenes in the world of education?
Well, imagine having a say in shaping education policy, developing curriculum, or even training the next generation of teachers.
Wow, that sounds incredibly impactful. Can you give me some concrete examples of those kinds of roles?
Sure, there are roles for seasoned educators in things like policy analysis, curriculum design, even teacher training and educational research.
So, a real mix of theory and practice.
Absolutely. These roles require a deep understanding of the system and, most importantly, a real passion for improving the lives of students.
It sounds like a natural fit for experienced teachers who are ready to make a difference on a larger scale.
It really can be a fulfilling path for those who want to shape the future of education. And it's worth noting that these roles often come with very competitive salaries, reflecting the experience and expertise they demand.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities, from inspiring young minds in the classroom to influencing education policy at a national level.
It's quite a spectrum,
It really speaks to South Africa's commitment to building a strong education system.
without a doubt.
It really is inspiring. But, beyond the salaries, the benefits, the career paths, what would you say is the most rewarding part of being a teacher in South Africa?
Ooh, that's a great question. For me, it's those aha moments,
Mm,
when a student is really wrestling with a concept and then suddenly the light bulb goes on. That spark of understanding is just priceless.
I bet. There's nothing quite like knowing you've played a part in someone's growth like that.
Exactly. It's about empowering young minds to really reach their full potential, to become these amazing lifelong learners who
Yeah.
contribute to society. That's what makes this profession so incredibly rewarding.
Beautifully said. Well, this has been an amazing journey exploring the world of South African education. We've covered a lot of ground, from salary expectations to those fantastic benefits and even those exciting career paths. Before we wrap up, though, I have one last question for you. What advice would you give to someone out there who's, considering a career in education in South Africa?
Go for it. If you are truly passionate about making a difference, if you thrive on inspiring young minds, if you're ready for a journey of continuous learning and growth yourself, then teaching in South Africa might just be the perfect fit.
What an inspiring note to end on. A huge thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive into South African education. And to you, our amazing listeners, thank you for tuning in and allowing us to share these incredible insights with you. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those learning journeys exciting.